An interview for tonight. Now, this particular one will be focused on Kenya's hope to transition to e-mobility. Now, with me, I have BasiGo Managing Director and Chief Revenue Officer, Moses Nderitu. Asante sana for being here. Thank you so much.
Good evening.
Good evening to you. We also have the President of Matatu Owners Association, Albert Karakacha.
Thank you.
All right, now we'd like to start off by just simply getting into the gist of things. Moses, BasiGo has really been at the forefront of electric mobility in Kenya. Now, from your perspective, from your experience, how far have we come in transitioning from pilot projects to reality? And how much more do we need to do to be able to fully make that transition?
There's very different ways of looking how far we've come. We can count that we've been running electric buses for 3 years.
Yes.
We can say that we have now done 5 million kilometers on electric buses in Kenya.
Yeah.
We can look at it from 8 million passengers carried by electric buses, or we can even go by saying now we have 75 buses running with different circles across Nairobi.
Okay.
So we have come far from when we started 3 years ago. However, this is just the first step. And even today, earlier today, we were launching what we are calling our next generation bus. This is the bus that we are going to be scaling with, and it's the first step to what we are calling the road to 1,000. So our plan is to be able to have 1,000 buses within Kenya within the next 3 years. So it's a major step over the last 3 years, but we are now moving. It's now time to accelerate and take advantage of all the conducive environment we have in Kenya to actually green transport and actually decarbonize transport. Yeah.
Okay, interesting. Now, of course, Mr. Albert, you are the president of Matatu Owners Association in Kenya. And do you think the Matatu industry in our country is really ready for such a big move, for the move that is the electric transition? Do you think we're ready?
We are ready as our members. I think the way he has said, already we have 75 of them which are on the road.
Amazing.
And all over the country, we are talking about the country, not only Nairobi.
Yes.
We are ready to transform and to go forward to make sure that we have the electric buses on our roads.
Okay. All right. Now, Moses, maybe you can highlight some of the climate and economic benefits of, this move, this shift. What exactly do we get to see when we're moving PSVs to electric vehicles? In the sense, how does it impact the climate? How does it impact the economy positively?
When we talk about climate, people see it as a very abstract thing.
Yeah.
You're not touching it every
It's not
day.
tangible.
Exactly. But today a very good story was told by one of the operators and said, try and walk up Valley Road. And what happens? All these diesel buses going up Valley Road with the exhaust facing the left, blowing soot on all those properties up there. All Saints Cathedral, all the different offices up there. And they have to clean their windows at least monthly of soot. Now, remember the passengers are on the left. So what have we been doing? We've been blowing black diesel soot and smoke to our passengers. The moment if we could replace, even if we just do 20% of that, it immediately changes the experience of the passenger. So that's the first thing. Okay. Then you can look at it on the other way. Operators like this, what is their biggest cost? Fuel.
Yes.
It's their biggest cost. It's also the biggest foreign exchange use for the country. So by just transforming to electric vehicles, we then begin to save a lot of foreign exchange that we actually sending to the Middle East, and that money remains here and can be invested in different things. Over and above that, we then now start healing our Mother Earth, because we actually have to start thinking very seriously about what is the next generation going to find. It's become walking in the city. If you try and walk in the city in a white shirt or a white blouse and spend 2 hours there, I can assure you that the color will change, and that is just pollution from these diesel vehicles.
Okay. Right. Now, Albert, I'm sure there are some concerns when it comes to the Matatu Association and Matatu operators, Matatu owners in general. Maybe you can tell us some of the concerns that your members have when it comes to switching to electric Matatus, because the reality is that there has to be some sort of concerns. It could be cost, it could be infrastructure, it could be reliability. What are some of these concerns that they have?
Okay, the concern is on the issue of reliability.
Yeah.
Because as we talk right now, the government should move in to see how they can help in terms of taxes.
Okay.
And maybe on the issue of the infrastructure, because as we talk right now, within Nairobi, we need to have almost 11 zones, whereby they should make sure that they have infrastructure, working very closely with Kenya Power. But maybe we need to think about even using the solar, whereby we can be able to start manufacturing solar here, so that it's going to help to reduce the cost of running the vehicle.
Okay.
Yes.
Right. Moses, maybe you can break down some of these differences in cost, just so that our viewer who's watching at home, they're able to understand better. Case in point, for example, when you have a diesel Matatu and then you have an electric one, what is the difference between the two, cost-wise?
That one is, I'll tell you, a diesel Matatu right now is between, I would say, 6 and 7 million shillings.
Okay.
The equivalent, we don't have an equivalent electric bus, but an electric bus that is of very much higher quality is 2.5 times that. So you're expecting to pay around 20 million shillings. Therefore, it actually becomes very difficult to then convince this Matatu owner that you could get a diesel vehicle here for 7 million shillings, and we're talking about the 33-seater, or you acquire an electric bus for 20 million shillings. That's a difficult conversation. But what have we done? We've then created a financing model, which we call pay as you drive.
Okay.
So instead of them putting up all the money up front, they actually pay a deposit, and we turn their financing to look like what they do every day. The same way they pay fuel, they will be paying a mileage-based financing. So typically, if a Matatu is doing 200 kilometers every single day, they're paying at 65 shillings per kilometer, they are paying 13 shillings per kilometer. And that then gives them, it's the cost of financing, it's the cost of charging or the energy, and actually routine service and maintenance. So we have created a way that they can acquire them without having to suffer the very high upfront cost. However, the good news is electric vehicles are getting cheaper and cheaper by across the world every year. So they're getting better. Technology is moving fast, so we are getting more range on these vehicles. So as time moves by and as we continue doing local assembly, we are bringing that price down.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Moses, there was a story that ran earlier on. I'm not sure if you managed to watch that particular story. And there was a lady, and a guy actually, and he mentioned that he was complaining about the battery. Yeah. He was complaining about the fact that, the mileage of this particular car that he was driving. He said that the battery, it was giving him anxiety because it was not as productive and efficient as he had expected it to be. So maybe you can tell us about the mileage of electric buses and bikes when they're fully charged and what you can get out of it.
So the gentleman who was speaking, I think he was talking about his boda.
Yes.
And he was saying that with his normal ice bike, he decides how much fuel to put. And as a lot of us men, we put the bare minimum fuel. We never fill up the tank. Yeah. But when then you're transitioning to an electric motorcycle, you're then taking a full battery. So a lot of the motorcycles you see that have come into electric are operating on a battery swap model. So you then ride to a swap station, which could be at a petrol station or somewhere else, and then you pick a new battery that gives you a certain range.
Got it.
Yeah, but remember, range is also a factor of how you ride. So if it's going to carry furniture and a cow on top of it, then of course it's going to reduce the range that he's using. So those things are there. Range anxiety it's real, especially at the beginning. Yeah. At the beginning, you find those who have, at the beginning of the transition, you get a bit of range anxiety. And we also saw it in our buses earlier on. So drivers would be a bit skeptical about the range. But now, as they get used to it, then they realize that you don't that range anxiety is not an impediment. But again, on top of that, what have the border companies or companies that are actually setting up? I know a company that has set up over 100 charging stations in Nairobi.
Wow.
We are setting up, we've got 7 depots across Nairobi where the buses can come and charge. But most of what we'll try and do is, on a single charge, our buses will do above 200 kilometers every single day. But because these buses naturally, the driver, these guys work hard. They pick buses as early as 5 a.m. to get us to work, and they will return those buses anytime after 10, 11 p.m. So in the day, in the middle of the day when it's off-peak, they do take a break, sometimes an hour, 2 hours, and we actually allow them to bring them back to the depots, and they can top up their charge. And that reduces the range anxiety. And on the other side, it also helps us not degrade the battery too fast. Just like your phone. If you get used to degrading your battery all the way down, you shorten the lifespan of the phone. So in the same breath, I think there's an education. The guy on the border, I would say it's really a case of education and trial, and resistance to change is a real thing.
It really is. Right. Now, Albert, Kenya's transport sector accounts for about 23% of the country's carbon dioxide emissions. Now, this is according to EPRA, which is obviously Energy and Petroleum Regulatory Authority. What are your thoughts on this? And do you think that this particular percentage is something that can be reduced in the near future?
Okay, we think that is going to be reduced.
Okay.
And through what we are doing with the BasiGo, we believe that in the next 3 years, the way you have said, I think we are going to be able to reduce the issue of the emission on our roads. Yes.
I think if I just add on what you're saying, one of the biggest advantages we have is Kenya has 93% green energy from our geothermal, from wind energy, and from hydro. So we have to leverage that huge advantage the country has. Because as long as we keep burning fuel, you will not reduce that emission. But if we start using the green energy that we are producing, and the beauty about public transport, and a lot of transport, even your last mile trucks, is it's predominantly a daytime business. So right now, a lot of the trucks that we see that are doing last mile are actually parked now, and that is when we have actually the highest amount of green energy on our grid, and we have more excess energy than we can use. So it's a very opportune moment for us to actually accelerate that conversion from fossil fuels to electric mobility.
All right. As we continue to have this conversation, maybe you can tell me about BasiGo's long-term vision when it comes to other cities, other major cities in the country. Is that something that would be a reality in the next 5 to 10 years? Not just Nairobi, of course. We also expect the same change to be kind of implemented in all the other cities as well.
So as they say, charity begins at home, and Nairobi is home. And if I even narrow it down, Buruburu is even more home for me. So the most electric buses are actually in Buruburu. But then we've moved to Kigali. We are running quite a number of buses in Kigali.
Amazing.
34 buses running in Kigali. And now the next step, which we are currently piloting, is what we call the intercity. So in the city, we use a lot of the 33-seater buses, or 36-seater buses. But for people going to Nyeri, for people going to Eldoret, for people going to Kisumu, they use your 16-seater vans. Now, that is actually where we see the biggest acceleration in electric mobility, because that is the backbone. There's over 80,000 of these vans, and they're the ones that actually move Kenyans across the country. So we are testing those vehicles. We've already partnered with some circles. I'm happy to say that the pilot tests are going very well, and we expect to start rolling out and delivering electric vans to our customers as early as locally assembled as early as January next year.
That's brilliant. That's great news. We'd love to see that happen, and I feel like that's something that we really would like to see happen because of the benefits that come with it. So all the very best.
So we're building the infrastructure to support that. So we
eventually
have to
next 10 years maybe?
In 10 years, I would like to be in a position whereby Kenya has reduced by over half of what the amount of money we used to buy to buy diesel from out of the country, and we'll be investing in new green energy projects to generate more power because we'll be a country that's running on electric mobility.
Brilliant. Maybe I'll move over to Albert. And, would your association be open to pushing for collective bargaining? For instance, when you have SACCO-level financing schemes for electric matatus especially, do you think that's something that you are open to doing as the president of the Matatu Owners Association, Albert?
Yes, already we are in negotiation with some of the banks.
Okay.
And we are talking to them. And we believe that the government should come in, because when they talk about the hustler, because majority of the hustler comes from the Matatu sector.
Yes.
They need to come in and see how we can work very closely with the financiers so that we can be able to get the funding on the side of the Matatu.
Yeah.
And as we move on, we know very well that electric buses are going to be here with us. So the government must move in to see, because we are going to create employment for the youth. And we are going to support the passengers, because in Nairobi we talk about 6 million Kenyans traveling on a daily basis.
Yeah.
So we need to work very closely with the government, BasiGo, so that we can be able to see what we can be able to do. And maybe going further, there is the issue of carbon credit.
Yes.
And I think we are talking to BasiGo. We see how we can work very closely, so that we can be able to reap from the carbon credit. It may even reduce the issue of in terms of when we get the loan, it's going to bring it down at the end of the day.
All right. Yeah. And maybe we'll move on to you, Moses. What's your message to Kenyans who are watching right now, especially, Matatu operators, we have investors, we have different stakeholders, commuters at large. What would you like to tell them about the future of electric public transport in Kenya?
Sometimes we talk about the future. It's here.
Yeah.
It's not in future. It's actually, we are doing it every single day. It's happening every day there. If you go into the CBD, in the feature you just showed, there's several operators who have already embraced here. So this future is already here.
It's here.
So it's a matter of accelerating. One of the biggest challenges, and we're working very hard, is actually increasing the charging infrastructure. In e-mobility, we're always talking about the chicken and the egg, which comes first. Do you bring vehicles or do you bring infrastructure? You actually have to basically have your fried chicken and your omelette, all the both at the same time. So we have to do both at the same time, and that's where we need government support, especially in the area of infrastructure, because we are putting all the infrastructure in private land. There's government land. If we were able to put, for example, in bus parks, we have a beautiful bus park in the city called Green Park. If we could actually put electric charging stations there, that would benefit a lot of the operators who are already acquiring these vehicles from us and from other people. We are seeing taxis from different companies. They could use that same infrastructure, and then that could be rolled out across the counties. So the future is here. The main thing is to embrace it, and to have a concerted effort that we all move in the same direction, because this is actually good for the country, and it's also good for the planet, and most of all, it's good for the pocket. Yeah.
Albert, I just want to, ask you something about the Matatu culture that we have in the country. We have a huge rise of Ganyas, all right? Ganya culture is one of the biggest things that the Gen Zs, the youth, they love to use. They believe that it's Kenyan. And it really just contributes to being Kenyan and our identity as Kenyans and the Kenyanness that we have. It's different, something that we don't see in other countries. Do you think that this conflict that we're having with our mindsets, where the younger generation wants to be able to have these cool-looking Ganyas with graffiti all over them, and the way they're packaged, they really promote the cool culture of the Kenyan young generation, the youth, over climate action?
I think maybe going forward, as we talk about the e-mobility, maybe through Mr. Moses here, he may be trying to see how we can try to support, because it really motivates the youth when it comes to graffiti. And maybe in future we need to think about it, because it's going to support
100%.
yeah, the youth, because we have more youth in the Matatus. So to me, we believe that the Nganya will be there, and they are going to be there for long.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Maybe we can have e-buses.
We do.
As cool. Do we have them?
We do have a few operators who've decided to soup up their vehicles or put some graffiti.
That's amazing.
But the one thing we've noticed is, because of these vehicles are silent, when people get in, they want to wear their headphones. As you had on the feature, they've got free Wi-Fi, they've got USB ports to charge your phone. So you don't need to listen to everybody's music. You just get onto your own Spotify, get into your own podcast, be listening to TV 47. So you've got 33 different people in that bus doing different things.
I like that.
So it doesn't take away from the Matatu culture, but it's actually creating a new paradigm shift which is already happening. I mean, look at how many I saw here in your studio as the features are going. A lot of your colleagues are, of course, they've got the talk back, but they're also listening to their own different things. So that's something we also embrace. But there's space for. There's people who like that kind of thing, but there are also people who could not be bothered to be going to work at 8 o'clock in the morning in
loud music
in disco luta continua in the morning. So.
All right. Thank you very much for that. I appreciate your time. It has been quite an insightful conversation. Of course, I was speaking to BasiGo Managing Director and Chief Revenue Officer, Mr. Moses Nderitu. We also have President of Matatu Owners Association, Mr. Albert Karakacha. This particular discussion that we had on how Kenya will be transitioning to e-mobility in the near future. The transition is already happening. As Mr. Moses said, the future is here. And Ms. Albert has also said that, you know, he has the entire Matatu Association, Matatu Owners Association, he's trying to convince them so that they can also make that big move, and hopefully that happens. And he says, Moses, you have my full support. So that's something that we love to see here, and we do hope that we can really, really, really try and bring that percentage lower, because as of now, as we speak, 23% of the country's carbon dioxide emissions come from Kenya's transport sector, which is quite alarming. So hopefully this move, the transition to e-vehicles and of course e-buses, can bring it much, much lower. So yes, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate your time.
Yeah. Thank you.
All right. And of course, with that, we'd like to move over to climate news. From cutting